My name is Tyrant Scorn, and you're listening to Legacy, the EVE Online podcast for all capsuleers. This episode, we'll be having NoobMan from Hard Knocks and Longinius Spear, ex-CEO of PvP Wormhole Corp, Susu. Stay tuned for another kick-ass episode. Welcome to the first episode of Legacy, the new iteration of my podcast. It's going to be hosted on Crossing Zebras, and today I wanted to talk some wormholes. I got a lot of thoughts about recent developments and upcoming changes and stuff like that, and I wanted you guys to come on and talk some wormholes with me. So welcome to the show. And why do you go ahead and introduce yourselves? Let's do NoobMan first. Tell us who you are, what you do, all that juicy stuff, I guess.
Yeah, sure. I'm NoobMan from Hard Knocks. One of the directors of the corp. IFC. I do a little bit of space politics and. Part of CSM 11 and probably going to run again for CSM 12.
I was unaware that you were going to run for CSM 12. I haven't really kept up with all the candidates yet, but...
Yeah, I haven't made like a post on the Evo forums. I was kind of just waiting for the minutes to come out, just so I can kind of show, like, this is the first summit and this is the second summit. This is what I'm about. You can read in the minutes, like, the things that I brought up and talked about. Get a sense of who I am.
All right. Longinius Spear, why don't you tell us who you are, what you do?
Sure. I'm also a wormholer. I've been around in wormhole space for the better half, about 5 years, maybe 6 years, something like that. And PvP, I've been CEO a couple times, mostly PvP Corps. I'm a writer for invadingyourhole.blogspot.com, former podcast host, although we're kind of on a break at the moment, of Down the Pipe. That's www.downthepipe.wormhole.com. At least I think that's what it is. It's been a while since I've been to the site, but we talk about wormhole stories and whatnot, and discuss basically the same type of topics you do, and have interesting guests. I believe NoobMan was on here on my show at least twice.
Yep.
So, but yeah, and just talk about wormhole stuff. Currently, I'm not in a corp. I just got removed from NoHo.
Wow, is there an interesting story there, or?
Not really. Oh, was it really NoHo? Was it? I forget. Yeah, there's NoHo. I'm trying to remember.
What?
Hang on one second.
Which corp are you talking about?
I forgot which corp I was in. Oh my god.
Oh
No
my
vacancies.
god.
Oh my god.
I was gonna say.
I wasn't know.
Know something.
I don't even know where I am anymore. Okay, no, it's no vacancies. Yeah. So I was shown the door. Essentially, is probably the best way to put it. And, a good like, I'm really all about analogies. A good way of showing about that corp is, if you ever been to have you ever been to like a daycare, and notice like the daycare people who work there are really just trying to make sure the kids don't kill each other or somehow die in some accident. Like, that's kind of what it's like there. It's a lot of people just doing stuff, and then you really only get talked to if you fuck something up.
Okay.
That's kind of what it's like. But I wasn't good enough, so that's probably the best way to put it.
Okay. You didn't like rock the boat or anything, or they just?
No, I wasn't needed. Didn't felt loved. You know, it just kind of was like, you don't get a lot of love in daycares. You get a lot of, hey, stop fucking doing that wrong. Like, you get a lot of that. So I did a lot of, hey, stop doing that wrong. And that was, like typical bullshit where I'm just like, hey, let's fucking stand in front of the Citadel and get, DD'd by, this cool Keepstar that happens to be in this really cool wormhole system. I'm not going to name any names, but it happened to be Hard Knocks' wormhole system, and you happen to have DD'd my fucking services.
That was a no-no?
No, it wasn't a no-no. It was just like, stuff like that just wasn't appreciated, wanted, warranted, or given a shit about, so.
Yeah, I've always considered you to be like the guy who goes around and does some crazy stuff and uses some really ingenious ways of finding ways to kill people or harass people. Oh, sorry, we're not allowed to call it harassment anymore. Just really crazy stuff. And I've noticed myself, man, I'm pretty much the same way, that I run into these roadblocks with corporations where I do these crazy things, and people are like, why? How? And it's just, I also have these issues where I don't feel at home. Like, I don't know what it is, and you seem to suffer from that as well a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of at the point where I just want to hang out on comms with people. I don't even want to do anything spectacular.
Exactly.
I just want to be, I just want to talk to other human beings. Like,
Yeah.
I actually spend a lot of time in like WoW comms, like while I'm playing Eve, just to have some kind of fucking companionship. As sad as that sounds.
Yeah, I feel you. Like, I have the same thing right now where I just parked my tune in Signal Cartel, and also with like the thought of maybe helping out, like teaching these guys how to survive a PvP encounter or how to fit their ship better, or occasionally provide them with security, because these guys they take out fleets, and 8 to 10 Vexor Navy issues, they jump into a wormhole, no security checks, no nothing, just bam, hey, a wormhole, we're gonna empty it out, and then they get ganked, and like no security whatsoever. So I felt that maybe I could help them out, but my playstyle is completely opposite of what they do. Like, they have a credo where PvP is not allowed unless you get attacked and you have no other choice to have to fight back. And I'm like, I'm just gonna kill everybody. Like, I don't care. Like, and that just clashes with their mentality. And like, but the human being aspect, the being on comms aspect, that just for some reason I just hang out and play on my other characters. It's I guess we have more in common with Baby Daddy from way back when than we do with actual.
That guy was a legend.
Yeah. By the way, have you ever heard from him again?
Nope, disappeared.
How is that possible? And that's just.
I don't know. He just disappeared. It was weird.
Yeah. He's been a great inspiration for what I do right now. It's just go into other people's wormholes and do some crazy stuff to them. Yeah, that's my playstyle, man. I love that stuff. But I've got a couple of subjects that I wanted to cover, and I guess the first thing that we can maybe dive into is the Citadel change in wormhole space. And I've tried to bring up the subject in the Wormhole Town Hall. We had a second Wormhole Town Hall dedicated to lower class wormholes, and NoobMan wasn't present there. I don't know if you had the chance to listen to it.
Yeah, I got to listen to it before the summit. Yeah, I couldn't make that one because the guy that was originally doing it canceled, and then I, he told me he canceled, and I said, all right, well, it's too bad. And then the second guy that picked it up, announced it, while I was asleep, and then I woke up, and it was, already happened, so...
Yeah, it was some weird stuff going around for that. One of the things that I felt wasn't necessarily a good thing for wormholes. There seems to be a lot of debate about that, though. Citadels are going to replace the pass system, and from my perspective, being a hunter and being somebody who doesn't live in a pass and just lives out of a backpack, I found the pass system to be an interesting way of gathering intel. It was interesting finding the pass from a gameplay perspective. It learned how to descan, how to use your descan properly, and search for moons and stuff like that, and make sure you have your overview set correctly and stuff like that. So from a gameplay perspective, I found that a very good thing in wormhole space. But with Citadels right now, that gameplay is slowly going away, and I wanted to get you guys' perspective on that. Do you think that is a good change from a intel gathering perspective? Not necessarily the perspective that a Citadel offers you in terms of security and services and stuff like that. That is, I think, a separate discussion.
Do you want to go at this first, NoobMan, or shall I?
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for being on the CSM. I know that entirely burns people out from this game. That's one of the reasons why I've never thrown my hat in the ring. I like this game. I don't want to hate it. And all the work that I've seen you do on the CSM so far has been pretty good. So you have my vote, however much that means to you. For next CSM run, I think you did a good job last time. But other than that, there's two problems that I'm noticing with Citadels, and I'm talking about just primarily mechanics. One of them is the size of the corp that's required in order to defend a Citadel appropriately. One of them is you have to be online during its reinforcement timer, where in the past, where the tower would simply defend itself to an extent, so the amount of players that it took to actually attack it and put it into reinforced was usually significant. I mean, even with a small one with minor amount of guns, you need at least 6 or more pilots. Now you just need 6 or more pilots that will never encounter any resistance unless you're online. That particular aspect of it I don't like, because it really, really makes it so people who want to be in wormhole space have to be in larger groups, which I don't think is really needed in my opinion. I mean, it's already at the high-class wormhole systems, you have to be in a large group in order to even PvP effectively. So now you have it the low-class groups that have to be in large groups to defend themselves, or they have to be able to log in for however many hours, depending on their Citadel. That's part that I don't like. That's part A. The second part is this whole invincible Citadel drifter blapping nonsense that's going on right now. That right there is unfucking acceptable. And I'm not just saying it from a hater point of view. That can't be right. Please tell me, NoobMan, that they're doing something about that.
I can't tell you that they're doing something about it, but I can tell you that I told them about it and explained exactly how it works, and they've seen the videos of people doing it, so they know about it.
All right. Okay. So they're gonna do something. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ask you directly on that, but it's clearly an issue. Tyrant, do you know what we're talking about?
No, I have not encountered the thing that you're talking about. So please explain. And for our listeners as well, I imagine that a lot of people have no idea what you just mentioned.
Oh, really? Do you want to do it, NoobMan, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, basically, for some reason, certain wormholes, I don't know how these people do this, or why they would do this, but they trigger the drifter, and then they don't kill it. a lot of people call it Vietnaming like a wormhole, like, you know, just, there's tons of packs of drifters. And one of the things I told them at the summit, like, there's not really a way to attack a massive group of drifters with, you know, a fleet. Like, if there's, you know, only so many of them, like, you know, less than 10 or so, you can try like baiting a capital that doesn't siege and repping the crap out of it with like a ton of logi. It'll basically stay on the cap, and, you know, you can, you know, slowly grind them down. But if there were some holes that had like 30 or 40 drifters in them, and there's just no way with the amount of alpha that they do that you can engage that in a subcap. So I did tell them that that is a problem. They did on the fly think of some solutions that I can't say, but so they know about that. And then the part is where like the only way to get rid of them, you know, is to drop an Astro House on a planet. And what you do is you drop a bubble at the planet, and then you put a bubble on the Astro House, and then you just leave a ship tethered inside the bubble, and it kind of all the drifters will get caught originally at the planet because they warp around planets, and then they'll get attracted to the ship that's inside the bubble that is tethered, and then you kill them with the Astro House.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot worse than that, actually. There are people who are intentionally anchoring Astro Houses with the sole purpose of killing the drifters that they plan on feeding off of. So they basically spawn drifters. They clean out an entire wormhole and make 20-some drifters, and then figure out some way of baiting the drifters to shoot the Astro House, not just the ship, but they'll shoot the Astro House. The Astro House can't be reinforced because it's outside of its reinforcement timer. They're literally protected by the mechanics of the game. Not because of the amount of drifters. They could have 1 million drifters in there. It will never be incapacitated. And they're just shooting it.
You can use the super capital missiles like that are made for super caps on the drifters because they have such a large sig. And you, like, I don't know, it's like something like under 10 volleys or something per drifter.
I mean, these drifters, Tyrant, are like, I mean, they're fucking boss. These things will kick your butt.
Yeah, I know.
Like, they have a ton of nuding and all that.
Like, they're horrifying. Like, if you get them on a ship, but if you put them on an invincible Astro House, you don't even need to use anything. You just sit there and shoot it.
Do you think that the drifters being in wormhole space, separate from the issue that you just mentioned, do you think it's a good idea? Does it create interesting gameplay?
Yes, I like the. In my personal opinion, I like the fact that drifters are going to the places where pilots are going to be. I think that's cool. I think that they fly around and attack us. They sit on wormholes. That's an extra element that we need to worry about. I think that's great. But the fact that they're being harvested this way, that's not cool. So yes and no.
Right. How do you guys feel regarding the fact that right now, if I jump into a wormhole that I haven't been in yet, and it has a Citadel in it, all I have to do is look at the blue icon in space, click on it, show info, I know who the Citadel belongs to, I can warp to it directly, I don't have to scan it down, I don't have to descan for it, anything like that. When I land, I can see if there's somebody in it, if somebody has been in it since downtime, or if nobody after downtime logged on into it. Which is, to me, that I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, but that seems way too easy. That seems, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's the current mechanics, like that we kind of have to deal with. It might feel a little bit weird, switching from pauses to that. But I mean, that perspective or that thing you have a problem with, like, I mean, they design these things for like all of Eve, and so a lot of those like easy information and easy access is for, you know, like people that are not in wormholes. So I mean, that's probably why it is. Yeah, I like descanning down pauses, and, you know, having like, you know, our Corp Siggy's got, you know, like every POS and wormholes, or, you know, so we think, and, you know, if you join a different corp, like they might not do their intel quite as well, and, you know, you have like a reason to add POSes and stuff like that, but I don't think they're gonna, you know, change it from that.
I mean, I think that intel capability of gathering that you're talking about, of just basically just doing everything you just said, I think that's always been around to an effect. You've always been able to right-click in space and click on the POCO of that system, and then you'd be able to figure out who owns that POCO, and if you do it twice against two POCOs, pretty good chance the people who live in there own the POCOs. So, I mean, you've always been able to make that assumption. You can always right-click on the tower itself and figure out who owns the tower. So, I mean, it is a couple different steps here and there. That whole downtime thing, I guess it's an extra bit, but I can't see CCP changing it just for the small amount of population that lives in Wormhole space. Plus, I don't think I want to say I don't think they care. I just think they have bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. I was kind of disappointed that they went with Citadels and not with a more advanced version of the POS, because CCP Fozzy was talking modular bosses for ages, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, bam, Citadels. It's like, okay, what happened? Like, did they miss a step and forgot to tell us about it, or I would have loved to see maybe a step in between the Mobile Depot and the Citadel, maybe something in between, like a more advanced Mobile Depot or something like that you could more easily set up and back up when you're done, sort of thing. Maybe with a small shield or something like that. I would have loved to see that, but the step from backpacking to now owning a fully fledged Citadel in Wormhole space is rather big. And where with the POS system you had a small POS, you had a medium POS, and you had a large POS. And what a lot of people would do is they would take a small POS, they would set it up for a couple of days, farm out the system, back up all their stuff again, and then move out again. And that's how they would travel through Wormhole space. And you know, that is sort of, if they're gonna remove POSes, that's gonna disappear.
Yeah, the intermediary item that you live in between that basically the Mobile Depot and a Astra House is pretty big. It's pretty significant. Whereas the Mobile Depot takes, you know, 90 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever to fucking online. An Astra House takes a week, and then it takes a week to turn off. Like, there is no, you know, and you're like, okay, versus a small POS, which is 15 minutes or even 7 minutes, I think. So, yeah, you know, I can see the desire for something in between, because simply I've taken down the 3 Astra houses, and each time I told my corp to take everything out of the wormhole, but the people leave stuff in there. And there's no rhyme or reason to the objects that are flying away from it. There's like, it's this loot spew reminiscent of the old relic sites where you're just like fucking cans everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just like, 230k apart from each other, and there's no sorting them. They're all named the exact same. Like, you can't figure them out. You basically have to like do a little mental image of which one's which, because you essentially have to warp to each of them. That's really cumbersome. But I mean, I don't want to keep complaining about it. I like the fact that CCP is going towards a more destructible environment type of game, and they want things to explode. I think that's cool. But oh my god, that just taking those 3 down, I never want to set up an Astra House again. That was so painful.
The minute notes come out on Monday. I mean, I can talk about what I brought up. I just, you know, the notes say the responses that CCP gave. But literally, I'm reading off the notes from the Wormhole section, and one of the things I brought up was there's a desire for people to have something in between, you know, an Astra House and you know, a POS, like that can be set up and tear down shorter. And I mean, they said that it, you know, it wasn't only W space that people had these concerns. That a lot of people have also brought this to their attention as well.
Yeah. I'm very happy you mentioned this, because for a really long time, the scavenger lifestyle, that's what I call it basically, is kind of going away, and I do hear people talk about it, that the type of lifestyle that I do is just basically backpack and never go into known space, just always stay in wormhole space and live out of other people's wormholes sort of thing, and do the PvE and the PvP thing and all the data and relic sites that you can do, and then use the mobile depots as your refitting tool and stuff like that. It appeals to people, but people don't stick with it, and that might have to do with the ability to carry the tools with you, sort of thing. The mobile depot is awesome. It's for me, sometimes run into the problem where I have to leave it in a system, dump some crap in high sec, and then take it back again, and to have something in between would be really good. I think CCP should maybe even look at maybe motivating people to go out and live a more backpack lifestyle sort of thing. Because right now, what I don't really like about Citadels is that everybody can bring in a Citadel and then leave it unattended, and it doesn't really require you to maintain it unless somebody attacks it. And as long as nobody is gonna attack it, it's gonna be there forever. And there's no decay. At least with a pause shield, you had to refuel it every once in a while. Otherwise, it was gonna die, and people would come in and kill your ship maintenance base and stuff like that. But I don't know. There needs to be something in between. That's definitely needed, I guess. How do you feel about the fact that anybody can just bring in a Citadel in and don't really require the organization that a pause needed? How do you guys feel about that?
So one of the counter arguments to it is, would you like to set up a home, right? And you have, your people living in it, you have your structures and everything, and then an invader has the ability to set up something in a really quick amount of time. I mean, currently until pauses go away, we still have pauses, and you can set up those in 15, 30 minutes, hour, different sizes. But like something as permanent as like a Citadel that has vulnerability times that you can't attack straight away, would you like to be able to set up an Asher house in somebody's home in an hour and them not really be able to do anything about it, and then it's invulnerable for until next week or something crazy? That was like the counter argument to having something in between. So I think if it's something that's in between, it needs to be vulnerable like all the time. I just don't know how long or how short they want the onlining time. But for wormholers, it'd be nice to be able to this is one of the things that Tim said from MCAV. Like, he sets up a little mining op in static, and he would set up a POS, and he would compress all the ore so he could actually haul it back into his own wormhole. And like when POSes go away, he's not going to be able to do that. And that's like just one of the examples of setting up a quick little outpost somewhere. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
That's a great example.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I don't know if you can talk about it, but CCP Fossey especially has talked about modular pauses. Was there sort of like a design for that, or is there something you can't talk about?
I've never heard of modular pauses during this term at all. So.
Okay. So. Yeah. The idea was that you could. It was still a pause. I think it still had a shield around it, or at least the tethered idea, the concept was also mentioned back then. I thought it was a really cool idea, but instead we got Citadels. And in terms of functionality and the the assets personalization, so you don't have to share a hanger anymore, is great. I mean, I don't think there's anybody who's against that aspect of a Citadel.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I mean,
yes
go
and
ahead.
no. People that have alts that had their own personal POS would definitely like some kind of shared hanger. Like, one of the solutions was given, like, if you could somehow set up asset lists to your like personal CHA inside of a Citadel, would be great to be able to like share things around for alts. I know there's actually still people in HK that live out of a POS because they don't want to. The sharing ships and item hangers is for all their alts is just more appealing.
Right. Yeah. Did you bring that up to CCP?
Yes, last summit and this summit.
Okay. And how did they respond? Is there anything that you can tell us about that?
It's like the NBA stuff,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, a lot of like the what and the when is not stuff we can talk about.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, like people are always like, when is this gonna happen? Well, like everything. So the way it works is like everything is on a priority, right? Like they have a big stack of stuff. Like either they know about it or they don't know about it, right? And if you bring it to their attention, then they know about it, right? And then it goes in the stack. And you know, there's things that they commit to and they start working on, and that gets taken away from the stack. And then there's things that you know go up and down in priority of what they're gonna bite off as like a little project or stuff like that. So I would say they know about it, just when they're gonna get to it or if they're gonna get to it is kind of one of those things.
One of the things that I mentioned during the town hall was that, in my experience, lower class wormholes are full of citadels, but there are no people that are active, sort of thing. Like I see the occasional day tripper, and I catch them in a combat site or something like that, and you have your frigates running through doing the data and relic sites, but the actual people that put down a citadel, my experience over the last month or two, they're all empty. Like I hardly see anybody from that corporation actually occupying the space or in the statics and stuff like that.
There's a couple reasons why there are more citadels than there are needed to be people. One of them is the capability of setting your reinforcement timer and in a favorable way. So, for example, if you're living in a POS and you get, or not POS, but a Citadel and you get invaded, and they come in your first reinforcement timer, typically you're going to want to set your second one to almost completely opposite in time from that. So, for example, if it's a 6-day period, it's going to be exactly 3 days later is going to be your other one. So, there's multiple reinforcement timers for just that one Citadel before the other one that's in the system, in the wormhole, is also available. So what you can do in a sense is when you're being attacked, and remember they come in there and they can reinforcement pretty quick because it's got 9 million shields or something really terrible, and they just simply take up their stuff and move it to the other one. So once they just move it, now you're basically bashing that thing for nothing.
Yeah.
So you either continue bashing the one that you're on, you let it go out of reinforced, and then it repairs itself, and then they just move it back again. Or you have to wait 4 days to bash the next one, and then you just keep hopping around, moving your items from one Astra house to the next, and just keep moving around and around and around. So with multiple Astra houses with different types of reinforcement times, you can actually make it very, very difficult for them to remove you.
What I actually meant was that the people living in a wormhole right now and setting up their infrastructure don't necessarily occupy the space, meaning that they don't clear their sites, they don't log on regularly. If you see somebody, it's usually somebody running a PI, and that's about it. that has been my experience for last 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Well, yeah, they don't require fuel. You can set them up wherever you want. Hell, I have enough money.
Yeah.
I could set up like fucking 50 of them. I could just put them in every C2.
So
there you go.
are you saying that Citadels are the cause of less people just out and about?
Let me take you back to 4 or 5 years ago, I guess. We were living in a C3, and hauling fuel was really a pain in the ass. But we were required, and that motivated us to log in, make sure we had our fuel situation settled, that we were still, our assets were safe. It kind of motivated us to log in and do that. Even the hauling stuff, just being active in the game, it felt like a responsibility sort of thing. It felt like you had something to do.
What was the punishment for not doing it?
Asset loss. I mean,
there you go. And the punishment for having an Astor house and a C2 and not living there is?
Unless somebody...
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Unless somebody...
you don't have to fuel the damn thing. It just sits
there. Isn't that something that you guys are worried about? I personally, I don't really like that aspect of it.
There's a couple bad parts of Citadels, but I think like living in a Citadel is a lot more attractive to maybe increase population rather than maybe the negatives for people not being as active. It also could just be the gameplay perspective of like their corp is just not in a healthy spot, not in a active kind of thing. My corp doesn't really have a problem with being active in the hole and doing stuff. We have plenty of Citadels. I don't know. See that correlation.
Spear, your thoughts?
Well, I don't think there's a correlation directly between having many Citadels and being active or less active. I do see that, when they don't have that fuel requirement, there isn't any need to log in. Whereas I think what you're trying to say, Tyrant, is the fact that you had to run fuel. You had to go get fuel. You had to bring it in. That was your obligation to keeping your assets safe. The only obligation now is essentially if you have more than one Astor house in a system, is just you occasionally logging in and seeing if one of them isn't reinforced.
Yeah, but to fuel your POS, it just takes like 1 hour a month or something like that.
Sure,
it's
but
not like
someone
complete
like Tyrant
daily activity
is gonna sit there and wait. He's gonna do what Baby Daddy used to do and sit there and stare at your Astor house for fucking 7 hours straight, waiting for you to fly and fucking go get fuel.
Why don't you tell?
What he does, and he's pissed off about it. So
why don't you go ahead and tell the entire Twitch chat what I do for a living?
But the point that I'm making is like that type of gameplay is going away, and I think that's all he's trying to point out. But honestly, it was a really weird fucking gameplay anyway, so quit it.
I got a funny story. I was worried that my bubble technique was gonna disappear. It used to be that if you didn't set your guns correctly, you could decloak, put up a bubble at 100 kilometers, and cloak up. And then when they would warp back to their POS, you could catch them that way. And I was like, oh man, that's gonna be gone. That's disappeared. And then I was like, one day I was like, okay, I see these guys being active. I really want to try this. So I decloaked at 100 kilometers at a Citadel. Deployed my bubble, and there I went. I caught it. I got the guy. And actually what's really nice about it is that if there's nobody in the Citadel, the Citadel won't shoot you. So you can catch orcas all day long as there's nobody in the Citadel to launch the fighters. It's amazing. But on the other hand, watching a Citadel is less entertaining because there is you can't see in what ship they're going to undock in, so it gives you less time to anticipate on that. you know, there was something about that, yeah, like watching a boss from a distance. But the bubble trap still works, so you know, for all these people that are interested in that, you can still catch people warping from Wormhole to Citadel, so that's amazing. On the subject of hunters, like Baby Daddy, you know, Spear has done this himself, I think, a couple of times, where you just go in and you know, do some crazy stuff. How many people are there still left doing that, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I don't talk to them on a regular basis. I think all of those real hunters like that have really gone towards Wingspan, because Wingspan really rewards that type of behavior. And the amount of intel that Wingspan has in its tripwire is significant. So, like, it being with Wingspan is very beneficial to these people. I think Wingspan kind of absorbed those people, in my opinion. There isn't very many lone people that aren't Wingspan that I noticed.
Like my time in Wingspan, being an active hunter, Wingspan doesn't reward you because it makes you lazy. It doesn't require you to go out and look for the intel yourself. It's being provided, and a lot of people in Wingspan sit in a station, you know, surrounding trade hubs. They wait for somebody to call, hey, I got a rattlesnake, and they all undock, warp to the wormhole, and you know, gank the target 10-1, and then leave the wormhole again and dock up again. So it doesn't really qualify as being an active combat scout sort of thing, like an active hunter that you know, like me or like Baby Daddy or NoobMan. Do you know who Baby Daddy is?
I've never heard of him. No.
He has no clue.
Oh my God, what are we gonna do with him?
That's fine. He doesn't need to know. It's all right.
Okay.
It's something that Tyrant and I frequently talk about. That's all I'm saying. But it's all right.
Yeah. I get a lot of positive feedback from the YouTube videos that I do, like you know, people emailing me asking, you know, hey, how can I get into that sort of lifestyle? You know, what do you need for it to do it that way? But I guess it's the most important thing is the mindset, like the state of mind, and to be able to stick with it, because it can get very boring. You know, maybe the gathering of intel is not for everybody. But I do get a lot of questions regarding that type of lifestyle. Next subject: scanning changes. Noob, tell us about it. What can you tell us? Because I have no idea.
They did say I was allowed to kind of talk about the features that I got to playtest. Because I don't know if you checked out like the Facebook live stream and stuff like that. We did straight from the summit. So there is quite a few updates. You know, I'm not going to say every single individual thing, but I will say I'm going to definitely try it when it does hit TQ. And I really encourage people to go test it on Sissy. The way, you know, development kind of works with CCP is they push a feature, and then like the next couple months they you know, take immediate feedback, and then like they start looking forward, you know. So the best time to give feedback is like right when something is on Sissy or right when it hits TQ, because that's the most likely chance like it's going to change, or you can get things fixed before, you know, they're looking at the next project kind of thing. But a lot of the new things on the scanning, it's using the new map, not the solar system map with the beta one that you can use nowadays. It's using its own system map, and basically they took a lot of the feedback we had from the first town hall, as well as I made a Reddit thread on their behalf because they asked me, hey, can you get us some feedback on why people still use the old map over the new map, and what they'd like to see changed. So that was actually really successful. It had 300 comments or something on it. So they sifted through all that. They also posted something on the Evo forums that they got a lot of feedback on as well. And it helps that the development team that actually is working on it does do scanning quite a bit as well when they play the game. So those are all good things on how to get changed. But what they did take, the colors are a lot better. For the people that were saying about being colorblind, or the faintness of the red dots or the red spheres,
Yeah,
stuff
red
like
dot.
that.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Everything is very easy to see. They also kind of toned down the blue spheres on the inside, so like you can see the edges of them, just fine. You get the cool almost like graph, like squared style of the sphere, just like they have now. But when you see it from the when you're looking at the middle of it, you don't see all of that. It kind of tones out the style of that, tessellation or whatever the word I'm trying to think of how the spheres look. So the spheres are easier on the eyes. They're not so bright, and you can see the red dots a lot better. They fixed up a lot of stuff with how your mouse interacts with things. So you have priority to mess with the little cube.
Oh, nice.
Which is amazing. So if your cube is over a bunch of planets or whatever, you're always going to grab the cube. You're not going to grab the planets.
God. It's about time.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that, we told them that was really brutal. And then probably my second favorite, and I'll get to my favorite. My second favorite feature that they changed is the arrows. If the arrow is pointing at you, you can't actually grab it. It disappears. So, when you're messing with the little box, how you grab the one that's pointed straight at you and it jerks the probes off your screen?
Yeah.
That's not a thing anymore. And I tried to just be as violent as I could with scanning, doing everything I could to make it, try to break something or try to do a weird behavior with the box. But they really did a lot of protection to not have the box jump off your screen. It has the capability to. So that's really nice. And then, so my favorite feature is one I talked about on the Facebook chat thing was basically they added a quick camera change. So if you double click in space, anything that's not something that's normally clickable, your camera is going to go from a top down to a side view. Because you know how you always want to move the boxes, right? You move the top box, you get it on top of the dot, and then you turn your camera, and then you move it to the side so it's on it, like a two-step process.
Yeah.
Well, now, when you double-click in space, you're going to get a quick rotation of the camera.
Oh, nice.
So it's really going to speed it up, I think.
Nice. Are they gonna make a little bit better tutorial for newer players as well? Are they working on that? Because I still the scanning tutorial I've heard from a lot of people is still the most difficult thing to master.
Yeah, the one thing I asked if they could do, which isn't necessarily their team that works with the new player experience, it's a different team, it's not the UI team. I asked if they could do I don't know if you play any other some other games, if you go from an old system to a new system, that they would say, hey, what is new, and what are all the things that they basically are going to mention in a dev blog. But maybe they have because the new MPE has a UI highlight feature that shows you where things are. If they could do one of those, hey, what's new with this new scanner, and then you click it and it shows you all the different new features, that'd be amazing. That's not something that they were already working on, and it's something that the NPE team would have to do, not necessarily the UI team. So
one suggestion for the new player experience that I could give you, maybe you can think about it and maybe present it to CCP, would be that CCP has a whole list of videos that you can watch while you're in the in-game client, but it's under the help menu.
Yeah, the Flight Academy.
Yeah, and if you don't know that it's there because it's not very apparent that it is, you're gonna miss it completely. Maybe they could add a feature that when you're on the scanning tutorial, they just have a button, watch the video, like click here to watch the video. Like that would be a lot better, because I've been playing for 8 years and I just recently 3 weeks ago discovered the whole video list, and they have quite a lot of videos. Like it's actually very good and very useful, but I never knew they were there.
Yeah, I don't sit in the like new player help channel that often, but from what I'm told, the ISDs and people that it's called rookie help. The people that like to help new people often link newer players to that. But like you said, it's not obvious if you were trying to find it by yourself. So yeah.
Spear, do you have any thoughts about the scanning changes?
No, I mean, I think just the red dot, really, that's the only thing I had issue of. I'm just curious, though, NoobMan, what was in your comments about what was wrong with scanning and why people were using the old map versus the new map? What was the highest comments for that?
The biggest thing is just mastery. Like, people know how to use it, they feel good with it. There's nothing compelling them to try the new one when they are at a level that they feel like they're an expert level or they're comfortable. There's nothing that was cutting edge or visually appealing or had an advantage using the new system. So they just don't want to have change. They want to be comfortable in their own mastery of the old system.
Right, which didn't bring anything to the table, but now we will get stuff to the table, I'm assuming. So, or we just will take it away from them and make them use it.
Oh yeah, the old system is gonna be taken away eventually. No dates or anything, but not anytime soon. But when they're ready to, they're gonna take it away.
Yeah, I remember the overall transition between square to circle icons. That was a big deal. Like, people really just lost their shit over that.
Yeah, and to help Dirk, just the change of the graph on the monthly report, that kind of change is making people freak out.
Yeah. I had another subject I really wanted to discuss with you, and mainly with Spear, but NoobMan being from Hard Knocks, it's kind of links into my search for a new corp. I was looking to maybe join a bigger corporation. I do a lot of solo stuff, but like what Spear said in the beginning, it's kind of nice to be around people and maybe do something with them once in a while. Just no obligations or no forced participation, stuff like that. That would be my preferred place to be. So I was kind of looking through the Wormhole corporations, and I looked at Hard Knocks and looked at the requirements, and it said full API keys on not just my character's account, but all my character's accounts. So for me, that would be 7 accounts, which I'm just now telling you, which you wouldn't possibly know, but you could at least with some research figure out that I have at least 4 or maybe 5, so there would be no way for me to hide it if I wanted to. But that just that goes directly to Spear's recent blog post, which I found very interesting because first of all, I never really gave it much thought, but second, I do completely agree with Spear. I don't know if you've read the blog, NoobMan.
I've read a couple of his blog posts, but I don't know if I've read this one.
Yeah,
Spear, could you maybe give a brief overview of that blog post? Don't have to go into really
Sure.
in-depth, but...
Essentially what I was trying to hit on was the fact that the requirement for a full API account-wide API. Not only account-wide API, but an account-wide API that doesn't expire. That requirement that most corps seem to have is kind of dumb. So I've kind of put that out there, and I've given people the opportunity to, you know, mention pros and cons to it. And then when I was looking for a corp, I was talking to, you know, different types of CEOs and asking what they look for in a full API, and why you would ever want a full API that doesn't expire. In the past, I've made comments about Hard Knocks and their capability of retaining APIs that were sent to them. That was never substantiated, and I'll just leave that on the table, but I think NoobMan knows fully well what I'm talking about. But I'm just saying, all the points were pointing towards that sign. I'm just gonna say. So anyway, hindsight being 2020, I've decided to not give out a full API to anyone who asked for it, if I join them. And I know that's gonna sound shocking, but if you actually look at what you look for in a full API, you're really not gleaming any extra information than you think you are. What you're actually doing is making it worse. You're getting a very small amount of information completely out of context, which is not good, in my personal opinion. So that's really what the whole post was about, was getting a small amount of information and essentially trying to, you know, tear somebody apart who's coming into your operation for the purposes of to see if they're a liar. That's really what it comes down to. And that was my overall point. So go ahead.
I can respond from like my perspective. Like, I'm actually doing recruitment right now in HK. Basically, like if you know the dangers, like you're saying, that, you know, people can compile large lists of APIs. Like, you know, if you know that danger, then you're gonna, you know, be good about deleting your APIs, right? But I think the reason why corps want, you know, full account, full everything, like you said, is to make sure they're not lying about who they are and what affiliations they have with other groups. I mean, that's what we look for. And we try also, like, when people app to our corp, like if they're super liquid ISK poor, like that's kind of a red flag for us. And if they don't have all their ISK on any of their characters that they gave us, they might have ISK somewhere else on an account that they didn't give us. And that might be their actual main, and these could be alts. And especially with, like, you know, the world that we live in now with skill injectors, it's pretty easy to slap together a character that could be passable for recruitment standards for certain corps. But I mean, as far as like why we require full APIs, like it's just to kind of get an initial, you know, because you don't know this person from anybody, like, you know, it just gives you a little bit of background on them. I think the scariness of like after like always having that corp API, like, or that full account API is like, I mean, our corp, we don't look through your mails every single day to, you know, to see who you're chit-chatting with. Like, we don't look through your transactions every day. It's kind of like a if you have a problem with that member, like, hey, you can go check out their shit, but like we don't do any kind of, you know, making sure, you know, checking out their personal information. Like, we don't give a shit.
Let me give you an example. Like, Tyrant Scorn, the character, has received a lot of sensitive information over email, mostly regarding my podcast from way back when. You know, for example, invites to TeamSpeak that are, you know, the information is not for everybody. Passwords, TeamSpeak channels, stuff like that. You know, even agreements with. Back in the day, I had an agreement with Somer Blink, which, you know, was between me and Somer Blink, but the only way that I could contact him was through in-game mail, because the guy didn't have an out-of-game contact. So, it was, you know, how are you gonna fix that? Like, the problem is, I was gonna join a corporation within AAA, which had very strict rules, and I told them straight up, like, hey guys, I just can't give out my email, or, you know, my API with the emails, because, you know, this and this, and, you know, they made an exception for me. But even then, like, if I wanted to do some harm to you guys, I personally wouldn't do it on a main character or a character that is even associated with my main characters. I wouldn't communicate over email regarding, you know, damages that I would want to do with you. And
that was one of the things I was trying to point out, was that all of these things can be hidden by anybody trying. That's really what I was trying to point out, is you can easily hide everything if you really need to.
Yeah,
And
mails and wallet transactions, all this stuff.
You can hide it. There's a lot of different ways of transferring ISK, a lot of different ways of transferring all sorts of stuff that the average person can't figure out even with a full API. So it comes back to the whole thing is, why are you doing it if an actual threat would be hidden, you know, just the same? You know what I'm trying to say?
I would
it's like
say
if you're really trying to work towards the low-hanging fruit, my next question is, why are you afraid of low-hanging fruit?
I would say, I mean, they're making a commitment to your corp, right? Like, if like everybody else in your corp is already doing it, I mean, it's.
Well, come on now, you can't have that justification. Come on now. If everyone else is doing it, you know, that must make it right.
If somebody
crazy.
is wanting to hide something, or they just don't want to give out their emails, it's just.
It's funny
you
because
go get the next guy that will do it.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't have to justify privacy. Privacy should be private for privacy's sake. And to say that you shouldn't value privacy is the same as what Edward Snowden said. Essentially, is just to say that you don't need privacy because you have nothing to hide is like saying you don't need the freedom of speech because you have nothing to say.
Like, I remember a specific discussion between me and Spear and a couple of other people, where if a SWAT team had the right to enter your house on the suspicion, right? Like I don't know, like the privacy issue within EVE Online is you know, it's so it's I don't want to go through anybody's email. If I'm gonna recruit anybody, I'm just like, hey dude, I don't want to go through your API. I want to know what kind of skills you have. If you want to screw me over, you can do it once. You can only do it once. You can blow up my ship. You can steal a couple of billion. That's it.
Well, I think also, not to defend NoobMan, but I understand entirely where you're coming from in the whole mentality that if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound when it comes to Wormhole life. Like, I can see that, where you're like, you want full commitment of their entire thing and not just alts. So weeding out alts is an important factor for them because they want full members, not alts.
But like if I look at my characters, I don't consider like which character will be my main. Like, I don't view them as alts or mains. Like, from a, you know, maybe a skill point perspective, maybe Tyrant Scorn is my main, but you know, my real character that I started EVE with, I've sold. Like, does that make Tyrant my main now? Was it an alt? Is my other character on my other account, which I maybe use just as much? Is that, you know? So for me, it's really hard to judge or view other characters as alts or mains. Like, I do a lot of different. I have spy alts. I have PvE alts. I have PvP alts. So for me, not like if I would join Hard Knocks, I wouldn't join it on Tyrant Scorn. But that would immediately exclude me from joining Hard Knocks because I don't meet the requirements.
You require full API. I mean, so EVE is a game that, unlike other games where you have, like, you know, a lot of deception and spying and, you know, corporate espionage kind of stuff, and the game developers have given us a tool to, you know, do a background check. And if, you know, the game's all about deception and you have the ability to check something or monitor something and you want that as your standard, then, you know, that's the way it's going to be. if
No,
that's why
there's
so
always
many people adopt that like I don't know.
the idea of the non-expiration API, that they can always just, if they have the slightest inkling that you may be waning in your support of the corp, that they can dig through your stuff at a moment's notice. Or if you say something a certain way in a comms, you are suddenly flagged as a spy, or you lose one too many fleets because of some sort of happenstance. And I can see that. And unfortunately, what you end up doing is roping in people who are innocent more times than not, just by pure assumption. Because just a little bit of information is much worse than the full thing, usually. The full thing is really what you're looking for, and that the only way you're going to get that is by having a conversation and then having actual facts. But imagine if you were trying to find out if Tyrant Scorn is a furious masturbator, and all you could do is look. All you could do is just look at his house, for 5 minutes. That's all you can do. I mean, you're going to look around for certain telltale signs of a furious masturbator, but if he fucking hides it, he's pretty good at it. But the point that I'm trying to make is if you constantly have the capability of looking into his house for 5 minutes, and occasionally you see, a hand lotion thing next to his computer, he could have had dry hands that particular day, or he could be a furious masturbator.
Oh,
but that's the point that I'm trying to make, is just having a small amount of information shouldn't label you as one thing or another. So I'm thinking that you should base person's future actions based on prior actions. Killboard is a perfect example how you judge people and what their capabilities are. Like, if you're saying I am recruiting PvPers, look at the kill board. If the person has no kills and doesn't have any kills greater than or smaller than 10 people, the guy is just an F1 monkey. If you want F1 monkeys, get them. If you're looking for somebody who can hold their own, do it.
The things that we look at when we judge an applicant, right, is, Killboard and their API. And the things that, the API tells you, and I know you're going to say, well, you can just get a limited one that only tells you this. But, I mean, the API tells you what, ships they can fly. We stick that into a little program. It spits out a little check mark, by which doctrine ships they can fly at what competency levels, and they've got all the, necessary support skills and everything like that. It's easy peasy, check to see if they're a good fit for what, ships we fly. And then, you go back and you look at their mails, because what if the guy that's applying to you is applying to 10 other people?
Okay.
Is that wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Is that wrong?
I'm curious, is that wrong? Should you
do you want to recruit somebody that just only wants to be with you? Like, I would rather have a guy that says,
let me
I
counter
only
that.
want to be in Hard Knocks. I only want to be in your corp, and that's commitment,
Let me give you an example. Right now, I'm in Signal Cartel. I am in Eve University. I am in my own corp, my PvP corp, and I'm looking at other options.
How loyal are you to any of them?
I am loyal to all of them. All of them.
What if they attack each other and you get pinged for both sides of the fleet?
Well, Signal Cartel has a non-aggression credo that they uphold. My PvP corporation, I keep completely separate. Eve University, I'm there to teach other people.
I get your situation, but what about the guy that wants to be in 2 Wormhole PvP corps at the same exact time, or something like that? You diversify into things that won't affect each other, but
I like to do multiple things because, for example, Signal Cartel isn't always active, and they don't always have fleets that I can participate in, or they have fleets in a different time zone. And I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to work, so I just can't spend the time. So, when I come online, there's nobody there. Maybe I'm gonna do something else. Then to have the option to have another corp that provides content for you. I've been in Telecom United. That's the most boring thing ever. Waiting for stuff, and back then I didn't have the I didn't think about it the way that I do now. Is just have all these different things going on at once, so that whenever I want to do something, there's always something to do. That doesn't mean that my loyalty to one corp is less than the other. I would be just as loyal to you, for example, and still be loyal to my own PvP Corp or to Signal Cartel. That has nothing to do with loyalty. And what if I told you I infiltrate corporations to steal from them? What if I, cross my heart, will never do it to you? Because I want to be in Hard Knocks, for example. I want to be in Hard Knocks, and I want to be... But I also do stuff on the side. That doesn't make me a shady character. That's the way we like to play. Like,
I understand that, but what I'm saying is not every single player in EVE is a copy of your morality and, personality traits and the way you want to play. There's a lot of, different types of people.
It's really tiring. We're swimming uphill, or we're swimming upstream. Best way to put it, not uphill. Anyway, we're swimming upstream. We're not going to change his mind. It's the accepted practice right here. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But the point that I've called up in my blog post is it's really just more security theater. You're not bringing any level of security at all. You're actually causing more problems than you are. And until more people see this as an issue, it's not going to change. And then perhaps I'm wrong.
For
perhaps
me,
Tyrant, you're wrong.
For my corp, I mean, I can't even think of like how many times we've done like witch hunts through like our own personal members APIs. Like maybe twice in like 3 or 4 years. Like it's not.
Then
a
why
thing
do you
for my
require it if it's not something you use?
It's the worst case scenario, right? If something does happen or something's fishy, you can check. But like, do I check everybody's mails? No, I have no reason to. Like, everybody has their own little bear corpse and different wallets and, sending money all over the place. Like, I don't, you can't check all of that. Like, I don't think big alliances do that either. Like, you might run like a scan for like a certain word or something like that through like a big bulk bunch of emails, but like, I don't see why it's like an issue if you're not being like under the microscope every single day. It's only if, there's something weird about it.
You're either convincing me the reason why we don't need them right now or the reason why you don't use them. So either case, having them is not really a benefit for you.
It's a benefit to the corp though, right? It's it's if you need them. It's not why, I don't know.
Well, I think we've gotten off the whole CSM and EVE thing. We've gotten into some really weird tangent thing.
I'm
gonna say that's enough for now before we make people mad.
All right, I think we need to wrap it up a little bit, but I do feel that I owe NoobMan a little bit of time to speak about his CSM campaign. Can you tell us a little bit about what your plans are for the future for CSM 12?
Mm-hmm. So basically, I have maybe a different ideology of some people. I think a lot of the people. So it's like once you get on the CSM, you actually understand what it really is. It's something that we've tried to like. We've had a lot of like summit meetings and different meetings, like trying to help CCP say what the CSM actually does, right? Because a lot of people think it's like you're some kind of armchair developer where you get to like, remote into Fozzie's computer and get to see exactly what he's working on a day-to-day thing, which is just completely far-fetched. Like, so for me, like, what I try to tell people is like, it's you have 2 super important days of the year. It's the 2 summits, right? And that's when you actually get to be face-to-face with a developer and they're telling you their things and you get to give them direct feedback and you get to have a conversation, right? And you can also do that, throughout the entire term on like a chat. But, they're EU time zone and, I'm USTZ. So it's like you need to be on in the mornings if you want to have a back and forth, or, you can send them a message and they respond, and it's kind of slow. But pretty much where I'm going with all this is like, for me, like CSM isn't, I'm going to go, change everything. I think in my first platform and first post for last year, that's kind of, the way I presented myself is, I'm going to go bring them these ideas and I'm going to get this done. Like, this is my guarantee to you guys that, these things are going to be in the game when I get elected. And I have such a different perspective after actually being on the CSM of, you know, what it really is and what I bring to the CSM and to CCP. And pretty much this year, like, I'm not going to be groveling for votes and kissing babies and you know, begging everybody to vote for me. Like, you know, I'm going to say this is what I've done, and you know, these are the 2 minutes. And you know, for the people that know me and the people that are my friends or my enemies, like, you know, you respect me enough to give me a vote if you think I'm doing a good job or what. And that's kind of how I'm going to lead, you know, my campaign, air quotes, this year.
Here's a question. I usually don't vote for the CSM, and I'll tell you why.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. I've done the CSM interviews for CSM 9. Yeah, I think CSM 9. Spent a lot of time doing that, and then, you know, all the drama just kind of demotivated me from, you know, spending more time, you know, for the CSM. And here's the problem I have, and you know, this might be partly my fault, but you know, partly maybe your fault. I have little information about what you've done for Wormhole so far. Like, I know that you've been active, I know that you've been talking, I know that, you know, you're a good guy, but I have no, like,
report card.
Exactly. Like, oh, you know, NoobMan is responsible for data and relic sites in Wormhole space. You know, the loot is excellent again.
I can tell you why.
Like, for example.
So I can tell you why. It's a fine line of basically CCP protecting a volunteer, right? Like, just look at for instance, the monthly economic report. They said a little tagline of the CSM is the reason why this changed, and you have like an entire community wanting to like kill the CSM, like completely hate them and everything. And like, you know, last year in season 10 was a huge drama fest. Like they said, you know, the CSM was the reason why C5 to nullsec wormholes got reduced, and you know, people still hate those people today. It's kind of like a fine line of protecting, you know, somebody that's there to be positive and to give feedback to your company, and throwing them under the bus, whether their opinions are the best or not. Like, it's up to the CSM to share what they've said to CCP and to keep protected what CCP says back to them is you know, the answer to that.
That's a good point, man. Didn't ever think of it that way. Good job.
I mean, because like there's a CSM Gentan. He does I don't know what kind of basis he does it anymore. Like if it's weekly or monthly or quarterly or whatever. But he does, you know, the reviews and updates, and everything's super vague, you know, about what we talk about. And he keeps attendance for every single meeting. And you know, I don't have the best attendance. I might not have even gone to half of the meetings this year, and people are like, "Holy shit! Like you're awful! Like I can't believe, you know, how have they not kicked you off the CSM for not attending, you know, more than half the meetings? If I did that in my own job, I'd be fired." And it's just like, you don't what are in the meetings. You don't understand that from an outside perspective, because they don't tell you what they actually talk about in the meetings. Like today is Friday, right? So we had a meeting today at 10 a.m. my time in America, and we basically said, you know, hey, what's going on in the community? Oh god, that crazy Reddit thread. Yeah, we chit-chatted about that. Okay, do you guys have anything that you need to get across to devs that you're having trouble with? Or is there anything that is on your mind? All right, no, good. All right, cool. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a checkup meeting, not like a, you know, propose your idea at this meeting, and you know, every single developer is there at your whim to talk to you. So if you're not utilizing or going to these meetings, it's not a big deal. It's not what, you know, the only report card for the CSM is about.
All right, you want to do your CSM vote for me type thing?
Yeah, guys. If you're a wormholer or you care about Citadels or Capitals, it's kind of my expertise. Basically, you know, if you need to get in contact with me, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Reddit, I'm on Tweet Fleet Slack. You can send me an email or email. You can actually send me a real email too. All my information's out there. Just look for NoobMan or NoobManHK. It's a lot of the handles I go by, and I almost reply. I probably reply to almost every single email I get, unless it's like insulting me. So
Well, I can confirm you replied really fast, so that was good.
yeah, you sent me a email, and then you Twittered me, and I went straight to my phone and I said, yeah, sure, I'll come on this podcast within like 3 hours, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I had a personal thing to ask of Spear. You mentioned that you were a little bit out of it. How can we, as the community, get you back into it? Like, I want you active in this game, dude. Like, I miss you on Twitch. I miss you on YouTube. Like, I know you have a lot of stuff that you have to offer. Like, I can only speak from my own experience when it comes to making YouTube videos, but the amount of positive feedback that I get, even if it's a bad video, or even if it's a video that it's not necessarily very entertaining for a lot of people, I still get feedback from, hey man, you got me into this game, or how can I get more involved, or you taught me a lot with this video, or and I know you have done the same for me. Like, your videos inspired me in a way. Like, the same for Baby Daddy. Like, all that stuff matters. Like, so I want you back in this community, man. Because what can we do, like, to get you to pull you back?
There's not like a one thing you can do. I'm reassessing my assets right now. My failure with my prior corp, it hit me kind of strong because I really tried in that corp. I mean, I really tried. I dumped in easily 10 billion in ships and assets and time in order to be effective in that corp, and I still came up lacking. So I need to either have a change of direction or do whatever. But people frequently send me mails in game all the time, and like they tell me that they read my podcast, which makes like 4 people, which I think is awesome. Or not read my blog, and I think that's cool. And stuff like that, when you say you rate it and see what you're doing now because of it, I like that. I like hearing that kind of feedback. I don't get much of it. That's probably why I like it so much. But just hearing about that, I like what's happened to C13s and that whole backpacking thing. I still get mails about that. That was like a 3-year-old blog post. So I love hearing about that, even though I say I hate it. But other than that, I mean, I'm going to try something, different for a little bit. And I'm liquidating all of my ships and turning them into ISK. So I just recently turned on another account worth of market stuff. But, I mean, I'll probably blog about it. There's some new... I say new, I just found out about it. There's these people in C6s with jackdaws doing sites in there, which I think is pretty cool. I'm going to explore that a little bit. Solo jackdaws in C6s, which I thought was pretty fucking nuts, but I think that they told me that it can be done, so I want to try and explore that. But other than that, I look forward to the next page, man. I just want to get my stuff, sorted out. Thanks for everyone who reads my blog. Thanks to Glendy just for being sexy. I mean, no homo. I love him.
Release more YouTube videos, man. I really like your you have a natural ability to pull people in. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I like your videos. So
all right, I'll try. I'll do more scouting things. That's what I get the most requests for.
Yeah, scouting things, or I don't know if you're into the whole baby daddy thing, but that works for me.
I don't have that kind of time, man.
What? Come on, man.
I don't have that kind of time. But anyway, as far as NoobMan, your CSM thing, I think you did it. Honestly, I think you did a pretty stand-up job. From every time that I've seen you comment on something that mattered, I think that's important. I mean, I wouldn't say you're 2-step level. I mean, you got a couple more CSMs before you're 2-step level, but I'll definitely say that you're following in. Yeah, you're following in his footsteps. So
didn't 2-step fall flat on his ass
no,
at the
2-step's
end?
amazing.
Yeah, did he? Wasn't he getting a lot of flack at the end?
I think he just got totally burned out, but that's just me.
Yeah,
I have to meet Two-Step at a Eve meet. He's a pretty cool dude.
Who would be a good second Wormhole CSM to work with, in your opinion?
Of the ones that have posted, I can't say that I vouch for any of them. So.
Oh snap! Sick burn.
Damn.
They are a little, like I said when I kind of gave my philosophy on the CSM, they're a little bit out there on the armchair developer. I'm gonna go, rule the world, but there. I would say if you're gonna ask me to vouch for some people, there are some really good incumbent CSMs that I'd like to see on again. One I've posted about is Steve Renokin. He doesn't have a big powerhouse backing or stuff like that, but he's a really good dude and has been a really good help, just giving all the new CSM internal help with how to deal with CCP, how to get on all the different systems and initiated with everything. He's a really good guy, and there's a couple of the old dudes that are really good and have been active, and hope to see them back on, but I have not seen any of the other Wormhole candidates that I would vouch for now.
All right, Spear, do you have any people in mind?
Oh no, man, I don't have anything. I just sit back and critique people.
Yeah, I do. I do the same thing. But NoobMan, you've sold me on a couple of things, so maybe I'll vote for you, man. Maybe I'll make an exception.
Come on, it's 7 votes. Do it, and you have 7 accounts. I got 5 accounts.
Man. I get 15 accounts, so that's
Oh, you'll get on. That's enough.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get on with 30 votes.
Yeah. Final shout-outs for you guys. NoobMan, shout-outs.
I'd like to thank the content creators of my corp. Recently we've been doing some pretty crazy stuff, and it puts us out there in the media. And I'd like to encourage other corps that want to get a following or want to recruit to just record and put yourself out there in the media. And our content creators are pretty much the lifeblood of our corp. I just want to say I appreciate them.
Photos is awesome. So shout out to Photos for making that amazing video.
Did you see Jersey's video? The super drop.
Oh, supers, whatever. People destroy supers these days, when they eat Dorito chips, dude.
It was like 300 or 400 bill, man. It was pretty good.
They just crank those things out in Declan, man. It's fucking crazy.
All right, sorry to cut you off though.
Oh, that's fine. But anyway, Photos is amazing. And I he's someone I wish I had a better relationship with, because he's a really, really great guy. But I'm glad that he's able to be a good FC in your corp, and that was pretty awesome that you guys broke the reps on that. What was that? What are those things called? The repping carriers or whatever those things are?
The LIF. Are you talking about
the
last
that
Novak fight?
Yeah, that Novak fight. How did that go so south? Oh my god. You guys should watch that video if you haven't watched it. People think that just having a LIF on field is I win button. It's not. You have to be good still.
Yeah, I mean, I also recorded my perspective of it from the triage, and you can see how I didn't get nuded out at all. But basically, if you hear Photos' video, did he put comms on that one with the?
Yeah, there's comms. He's calling targets.
Yeah. So you hear the speed of which he's calling targets, right? This guy, and it's not about killing the first guy you call. It's not about killing the second guy you call. It's about killing the third guy, and that's what a lot of corps just don't do. It's skill of FCing, and we have what always happens sometimes for other corps are newer guys that join the corps. They're like, no, this guy's breaking. That's not the point. We're not trying to kill him. We're trying to kill the next guy.
Right.
Because the triage is going to, rep that guy to full, and then he's going to go look at his bar to see who's the next guy that broadcasted, right?
Yep.
So you have that tiny little window to try to put as much damage on the next guy as you can, and you might break him. As well as he's got to micromanage his cap with injecting and all that. So, yeah. There's our secret, guys. Sorry, that's how you kill people under triage reps.
No, it was good. It was amazing to watch it fall apart. I liked it. It was good times.
All right, Spear, shoutouts.
Oh no, that was my shout out. I'm good.
That was your shout out. All right.
Yeah, good job, Fofo.
My shout outs go to the Twitch chat. I want to thank everybody for listening in. I mean, we had some big numbers on the Twitch stream today. So for my first episode, like since ages, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. So thanks everybody. Hope to be back pretty soon. Want to thank my guests for coming on such short notice. I mean, that was amazing. Like usually it takes like 3 weeks to get somebody on into schedule. So alright, I'll see you guys next episode. Thank you for listening, and fly safe everybody.